When it comes to accumulating your hours, you're going to want to try to balance like the direct and the indirect. Direct is always going to be the easiest to complete because you're working directly with the kid. But if you're working 6 hours a day with a kid, right? Let's say you're in the school setting, okay? And they have a 30-minute session with speech, and you're in that session and you're teaching the speech about the token board. You're explaining how the schedules of reinforcement, how many tasks, whatever, or explaining anything that's behavior analytic or how to teach that learner. That is also considered indirect because you're actually teaching somebody else about ABA that pertains to your learner. So let's say it's 6 hours, but he had 30 minutes. You could count that 30-minute session as indirect since you're teaching them and instructing them. If you have to ask your BCBA, if you guys are doing VB map assessment, that takes a couple hours. You could count that instead of direct as indirect. Look at this. What the heck? Listen, a lot of kids are stealing cars around where I'm at. So, yeah. Ask your BCBA if you could count, especially if you're working with a child, you're taking data all day long. See if a percent of the hours that you work could be geared towards indirect because you could do that. Data collection is indirect. If you have a treatment plan due and BCBAs ask you, oh, can you go in the Catalyst and make a list of all the programs and give me the percentage or whatever like that, that's indirect and that's time consuming. So you can count that. Indirect tasks are basically going to be anything a BCBA would be doing that's ABA based and also based off of your learner. And that's why I was saying you got to balance the two, because once you collect all the direct, then you have to scramble for indirect. So it's like try to keep it like a balance so that you're not only looking for indirect, because indirect could be a lot of indirect could be hard to do. You see what I mean? So you actually missed out on all the indirect that you could have accounted for during that time you were doing all the direct, because it's easy to focus on one task, but when you really look at the whole picture, you could count both.